Grief Karga said you were coming.
What else did he say?
He said you were the best in the parsec. Bounty hunting is a complicated profession.
You are a Mandalorian. Your ancestors rode the great mythosaur.
Your name will be legendary.
I don't know if you heard, but the Empire is gone.
We have you 4-1.
I like those odds.
Hello and welcome to Mandalorian Minute, a Who Watches podcast about the Disney Plus series The Mandalorian. I'm Travis Fishburne.
I'm Ryan DeVere.
And I'm Dustin Meadows.
This week we'll be discussing Season 1, Chapter 6, The Prisoner. So what do you guys think about this week's episode?
This honestly might be my favorite episode so far.
Oh, wow.
I mean, they've all been really good, but I'm a sucker for a heist / jailbreak storyline.
Mm-hmm.
And this also, it was great because it was just character actors galore in this episode, which I really enjoyed. I feel like this is, like, we've gotten glimpses of other really cool characters, but I feel like this was probably the most fun cast we've had in a single episode so far.
Yeah. No, I agree. Nice to see all these characters bouncing off of one another. Yeah, I think I would agree with you. It was also directed by Rick Famuyiwa. In his previous episode, he directed Chapter 2 as well.
Oh, yeah.
Which up until this point, I think was my favorite episode. So gotcha. I think he's doing a great job.
That was a pretty solid
so
episode
far.
as well.
Yeah, I liked the episode. Honestly, it felt a little bit like a better version of Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
If you take,
I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, you take Bill Burr's character. That's Death Shot. You've got Harley Quinn in what's the Twi'lek's name?
Jian.
Yep.
And then you got Killer Croc or whoever you want your muscle to be.
Berg.
And then Mando being Batman, or
Yeah, I can definitely see all that.
and they're all trying to bust out Joker.
Yeah, I definitely see that. But it's also it's a kind of a Western kind of a story as well that you've seen before. So yeah, it's interesting that this kind of a ragtag group of like mercenaries is something that we've seen done and now like adapted into comics, and now this. I can definitely see where all that would be coming from. I think it just moved really well.
Yeah, it was paced. The pacing was great. Like, it was a super fun episode.
It was like 35 minutes. This one, I don't remember off the top of my head.
Actually, it was like 38, I think.
38.
Yeah,
Okay.
It always says kind of longer in the preview. You're like, oh, it says like 42 minutes, but that includes the previously on and the credits. So
End to end.
Yeah,
I was really impressed with how much happened in a fairly short amount of time. Like it felt like a full story. They didn't feel like they cut anything out.
Yeah.
No, I kept waiting for it to be like, oh, is it going to wrap up? Oh, could there possibly be a cliffhanger? Is there going to be something unresolved?
I thought the episode was going to end earlier than it did, actually.
Yeah, so the Mandalorian reaches out to his old friend Ranzar, who enlists him as part of a crew to break out a prisoner from a New Republic prison ship. During the mission, the Mandalorian is stabbed in the back. Before his betrayers can escape, the Mandalorian delivers swift justice and returns to Ranzar with the prisoner and some unexpected company.
Yeah, let's talk about the cast for this episode really quick. Ranzar is Mark Boone Jr. From Batman Begins, Sons of Anarchy, 30 Days a Night, number of other things. Just a noted character actor, which this episode is full of. And then, of course, we have Bill Burr as Mayfeld, the Imperial sharpshooter, former Imperial sharpshooter, who, in his words, was not a stormtrooper, wise ass.
Yeah. As soon as he says it, he's one of the best triggermen I've ever seen. And then Mando goes, that's not saying much. Because as soon as he said that, I was like...
And then we have Clancy Brown as Berg the Devaronian. And then Natalia Tina, who was Osha in Game of Thrones and Nymphadora Tonks in the Harry Potter movies. 'Cause it took me a minute. It took me until I was watching that the third time with my fiance, and I said the name and I couldn't quite place it. She was like, "Oh, it's Tonks and Osha." I was like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense," because I knew I'd recognize that. And then there's Richard Ayoade from IT Crowd, right?
Yes.
As Zero, the droid. It's just a wonderful little cast.
Yeah.
Berg? Clancy Brown? Did you ever say that?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, I missed that. Sorry.
It's awesome. Like Clancy Brown has had a good relationship with Star Wars for a little while because he was the voice of Savage Opress in the Clone Wars, Darth Maul's brother, and then he also played a character in Rebels as well, and so he just continues that.
That's perfect. Yeah, he's a great voice actor too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mr. Krabs.
Yeah, Mr. Krabs. Lex Luthor in the Superman animated series as well. Yeah, phenomenal voice actor. Phenomenal actor.
Yeah.
And just, man, sometimes you forget how big he is.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of what threw me at first. Because usually when I think of Clancy Brown, for whatever reason, like I know he's had more prominent roles, but the one that always pops into my brain first is his drill sergeant from Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
And then the Kurgan from Highlander. But Starship Troopers is always the first one that I think of. And then of course he plays a lot of guards. And then in Shawshank. So yeah, like I kind of like maybe it's just the uniform makes him seem not as
big
intimidating as he is, but then you slap some horns and red makeup on him, it's like, oh yeah, Clancy Brown's big.
Mountain. Yeah, he's hit basically like what I think is the perfect level of fame. Like he gets to do really fun roles all the time.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. That's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, a good balance of both voice acting and on-screen acting.
Yeah, phenomenal. And then, God, this had one of like my first gasping moments when they dropped Baby Yoda in the ship. Like, I was just like, "Oh no, the baby!"
Yeah, I think
it was apparently
America's
very
heart
durable.
just sank.
that poor kid's been dropped like so many times in the last few episodes.
I mean, he's 50. I thought he was going to break a hip.
Right. Oh God, yeah. And then we find out a little bit more. We find out that the man he used to run with them, but we find out that there was a job on I don't remember when where there's apparently some tension between Xian and the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Because he just responds, "I did what I had to."
Yeah, you kind of get the impression he's whatever led to her brother Quinn's incarceration
Was related.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, and even before we find that out, like we know that there's tension. I really like the sequence when they're on the ship, where they're all just kind of like razzing the Mandalorian.
Yeah, they're bullying him.
Like
they're about
such
to,
fun.
Yeah.
And Bill Burr has that great line is like, maybe he's a Gungan under there. Mm-hmm. Is that why you no want to show your face? It's like, oh man, we got a Life Day mention and talk of Gungans in this series. Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Burr was phenomenal. I would guess the line, "I ain't no stormtrooper" line, like.
Oh yeah,
that's
had
like
to have
when
been.
They cast him. They're like, "Hey, we want you to be like an Imperial sharpshooter," and he would have been like, "You want me to be a stormtrooper?" They can't hit anything, and so I could totally see him like shaping that character.
Yeah, from what I've understood, I've heard Bill Burr speak on the role and recently, and he's actually not a Star Wars fan at all. So I don't know if.
Yeah, like that, which was it was interesting to me too, because I was like, yeah, he doesn't strike me as a Star Wars guy. Mm-mm. Like Posehn, absolutely, yeah, 100% made sense to me that Brian Posehn was cast in a role in this show. But like, yeah, I saw Bill Burr, I was like, I'm not mad about it. Like he was great in Breaking Bad.
And he got in that show because he was a fan.
Exactly. So yeah, it's so weird. Like the flip side of the coin is like, I don't really like this thing. Hey, do you want to come play a character for us? Yeah, sure. What else am I doing? But yeah, like I saw a lot of people like in my friends where there's like, oh, Bill Burr took me out. I was like, no, like because like he's great in the role. And it's a fun character too. And like, if you're gonna put someone like Bill Burr in an episode, this is the episode to do it.
Absolutely.
Like, because clearly it's a little bit, it's more laid back than a lot of the other episodes have been.
Yeah.
To a point, because like it seems pretty, like fairly low stakes for the most part.
Yeah, this was a fun episode.
So I was like, yeah, if you're gonna cast someone like that in there, like who's recognizable, then yeah, absolutely, this is the episode to do it. And again, like just tonally, like it was a perfect fit. Like that entire group worked and clicked, and I was like, yeah, it makes sense that like a mercenary would be kind of a smart ass, would be kind of cracking wise and everything, because we've not had a whole lot of that. Like, because the Mandalorian is very stoic, he's very, very measured in his responses when he speaks at all.
And so have most of the characters we've been introduced to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cara Dune is pretty, like...
Cara Dune's probably the
very
closest
reserved.
thing to, like, kind of, like, busting chops and, like, goofing with them every now and then. But, like, all the other characters, like... And even like, with Grief Karga, like, there's a familiarity with, like, his tone and everything. But, like, he's still very straightforward, very no-nonsense. And then, of course, Herzog is just... menacing in every syllable he says. So yeah, this was a nice change of pace, and again, like it's just so fun, like just like the entire dynamic between the group themselves, and just like watching them take the ship, and again, like we see the Mandalorians kind of morals called into play as well, because he agrees to the job because they say it's the ship's run entirely by droids, so like there's no issues with like taking anyone out, and then they find a lone human guard on the ship.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of where things come to a head between him and the crew.
Yeah, that human guard is played by Matt Lanter, who is the voice of Anakin in the Clone Wars.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Which at first I was
Never
like,
would have caught that.
Yeah, this is somebody. I could just tell, but it was a wide shot. And then when they actually showed his face, I was like, oh, it's Matt Lanter. That's very cool.
Yeah, just anytime there's a small role, I just assume that they're somehow connected to Star Wars in some other way.
Yeah,
like one of the X-Wing pilots at the end is Dave Filoni.
Well, all three of them are, well, yeah, it is Dave Filoni. And then the other one is Rick Famuyiwa, director of the episode.
Oh, okay.
And then the third one is Deborah Chow, the other director of the series.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
That's a nice little cameo to give yourself.
Yeah, and Dave Filoni is not... It really took me out of it at first when I saw him, because I was like, whoa, because he's like so prominent, and he does not...
But who would recognize his... Like, most people wouldn't know him.
Oh,
by his
yeah,
face.
not the majority of people, but I think the people who do know him, it's like...
It hits him.
Yes, and he's... I wonder if like his arm got twisted to do that, because he's not really a person who... I think he's like, he agreed to do it because the other two directors were doing it, because otherwise I don't think he likes to be recognized on screen. He's done a few voices in the Clone Wars and Rebels, and they were very alien muffled voices where you can't tell
really
that it's
tell.
him.
Yeah, those are his only credits.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. No, I didn't catch that. Cool. I really appreciate how everybody that they've brought into the show so far has some sort of relevance to either Star Wars or comedians, or like they're not just helter-skelter choices. It's making it really fun to see each episode and who might pop up and who and the voices that you recognize, the actors that you're like, oh, I know that guy from that one thing. He did that one thing, right?
Oh yeah. Well, and even when they do, like they never take you out of it.
No.
Like, which, like, the casting for this show has been spot on. Like, and I still, the fact that Herzog's never been in a Star Wars anything before now, like, is insane to me. I was like, God, he's such a perfect fit for, like, an Imperial.
But I feel like it honors the kind of the Western side of things, because that's how Westerns were. It was like you had, John Wayne played John Wayne and everything, but then you had, like, we have a president that was in Westerns. Like, Ronald Reagan was
Robert
in...
Redford. Oh, wrong.
Robert Redford, yeah.
How could a cowboy actor take the presidency?
That was what I wanted to mention on Watchmen, and I forgot about it. Well, we mentioned it on here. I'll just assume that everyone that
It's a
listens to
crossover.
this watches Watchmen.
Hey, if you don't know, we also cover HBO's The Watchmen. We just wrapped up the season, so if you're looking forward to watching that series, maybe you haven't hopped on board yet, absolutely do so. But listen to our podcast each episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even in the westerns too, like you want a villain, it's like, hey, who can we get? Oh, Klaus Kinski. Let's get an insane German. Perfect. Oh man, how Leone never cast Herzog in a western is beyond me as well.
Oh, wow. He would have fit very well.
Some kind of corrupt cattle baron. How great would Herzog have been?
Anyway, yeah,
We're coming
like,
to take your cattle.
I feel like this fits the tone of kind of a western very well. Of like, that's part of the excitement that those movies brought was like, oh, this character that's known for this is coming. You know, this actor who plays one character is going to be part of this movie, and you get to see how they interact, and like, that's what we're getting in Mandalorian, and it's delightful.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's like the Wild Bunch.
Yeah, Wild Bunch. There are like little elements of Duck You Sucker in the mix, just with like kind of the political turmoil that's happening in the background, with like the Imperials supposedly being out of the picture, but still kind of clearly having that presence. I think we talked about this on the last episode, where it's like the boys in Brazil kind of thing with the Imperial officers.
Yeah, the tone has just been fantastic so far. But I would say this episode probably has the heaviest shift in tone of any of them so far, because for the majority of the episode we kind of get Baby Yoda out of the way. We just get to see Mandalorian. We get to find out a little bit about the Razor Crest. We get to find out a little bit about Mandalorian's
the Razor Crest is
history.
the only reason like he got the job.
Right.
Yep.
Which is cool. Like, we're finding out, each of his elements that make up kind of the Mandalorian as we know him all have their own stories. They all come from different things. And maybe we'll find out about it. Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll keep the mystery. But yeah, even the fact that Mandalorian and Jian, how is it pronounced?
Jian. It makes sense because the Twi'leks are their accents and everything are very like French inspired, and that's like a French pronunciated name.
Nice. They have, it's alluded to that they have some sort of relationship before now, but she's not going to tell about what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, she. Also, how much fun is Natalia Tana having playing this character?
Yeah,
she is just eating it up every second of it. If she doesn't have a dialogue, she's hissing at something.
Yeah, you mentioned like the Harley Quinn similarity, like it is very much like all over her.
Yeah, this was to me Suicide Squad.
Yeah, every single one of them just having a blast.
Yeah.
So poor Matt Lanter, R.I.P. Yeah. They have a standoff. The Mandalorian tries to convince him not to kill him, and then Jean gets bored and then throws one of her little electric daggers into his neck.
While everybody else is just debating,
arguing over it. And then he activates a tracking beacon that's supposedly going to bring in New Republic backup.
Yeah.
Rain down hell, man.
It was so cool to see this specific time that we're in, and we see the New Republic in control. And so, and I feel like most Star Wars stories, that would take place within like the original trilogy timeline. We would see an episode like this, and this is an Imperial prison transport.
Yeah.
But instead, it's...
It took me a second when they walked in and I saw the helmet, and I was like, oh, right, wait, this isn't an Imperial ship. Like, I had to kind of get out of that mindset because that's what I'm so used to seeing.
Yeah. You see the droids. They've got the New Republic / like rebellion like symbol on them. So it's very cool to see the establishment being the New Republic / rebellion, and this show being what it is, and being about the underground, and being about these mercenaries and bounty hunters. Of course, like they're anti-establishment, and so whatever that is, and whatever our context for that is via the other movies, it has to.
Yeah.
They just go against it.
They're inherently going to be on the opposite side of whatever the establishment is. It works.
So.
I wonder if that's why Mandalorian has issues. Like, he doesn't seem to care much for Empire. It doesn't seem to be bothered by killing stormtroopers.
Yeah.
But, like,
he did
the
have
rebellion,
an issue.
He was like, yeah.
I thought that was interesting because when he was so adamant about not taking a life, and I'm
Right.
like, well, we saw him kill all those stormtroopers and really didn't care about the Jawas before.
Yeah. And part of me wonders, it's like part of it was definitely concern about bringing him triggering the beacon. But like, I think you're right. Like, I think it was more than that too. Like, he didn't want to kill this particular person, which I mean, and again, like we've known from pretty early on, like with him going back and rescuing Baby Yoda, that like clearly there are some things that he's not okay with.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to see that, and his morals of like that's the whole reason he's in trouble in the first place. Like if he had just stuck to the guild code, nobody would be pursuing him. He wouldn't even be on this job most likely. But then of course, for whatever reason, either the intel was bad or they deliberately told him a lie, which like neither would surprise me. So it's because like, and again, it's one of the things where we don't get a whole lot of answers to. Part of me wonders if the double cross was meant from the outset, because there are little moments that make me doubt it. Because like when the Mandalorian's fighting the droids by themselves, Xi'an goes to step in, and Mayfeld stops her. Which like, so I'm wondering like if that was the plan from the outset, or if like somewhere along the way things changed, and then we find out that Zero has also learned about the child as well as the Mandalorian's flight from the guild because he's in the wrong with them.
But it doesn't seem like Zero seems to hold that information to himself, and he can't communicate that.
Yeah, he mentions it to Mayfeld, so. But that's it, because then their comms get jammed. So yeah, I'm really curious at what point each step of the plan was hashed out. Like, was the double cross planned from the outset? Like, is Rand's decision to try and kill the Mandalorian at the end because the crew didn't come back, or again, was that the plan from the jump?
Could have been either. Yeah.
So it's really interesting, like because we don't get the answers to those questions.
Yeah, it definitely helps build out the texture of this universe even more. And like, the series so far has done a great job of that. But like, clearly, Mandalorian has some sort of history with stuff that we haven't learned anything about so far. And
I'm not gonna lie. I would watch a season that's just the Mandalorian running with that old crew.
Yeah.
Like that'd be kind of fun, or even maybe like a 2 or 3 parter in a season.
A couple, some flashback stuff.
Well,
Yeah,
I think it's very possible that they're coming back.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Considering how it's left.
We get to see, I think, for the first time, the flamethrower getting used effectively instead of he took down one of the droids with the flamethrower.
Well, he took down stormtroopers with it in episode 3.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, during his SEAL Team 6 incursion.
Apparently that thing burns hot because he's killing droids with it. That's
Yeah, that sequence where he takes down the droids, which is triggered by Berg killing a mouse droid for no reason.
Just a little mousey.
Yeah, it just is like it's so unnecessary. Like that poor mouse droid
behind the blaster behind his back.
It's like, come here, and they just get angry and blast it. And then, of course, brings down the droids. And then the Mandalorian, to them, it appears that he retreats, but then he just circles around and like just runs in like baseball slides, takes out one at the knees, and just starts beating the hell out of these droids. And it's really cool because like we've seen him use almost all the weapons at his disposal before, but like he uses almost every single one of them like in the space of a single fight. Against these droids, and he's just doing like all these really cool moves, and then it ends with him like blasting a hole through one of the droids' heads, and we get maybe one of my favorite shots in the series so far, where the camera looks through the hole in the droids' heads, like as the group like rounds the corner and keeps moving deeper, and it's such a fun sequence.
Yeah, absolutely. This sequence, I don't know what it was about this sequence in particular, but I had forgotten about Django's kind of blades that come out of his van braces. I wonder if he'll get those, because that would just be another cool little element to his arsenal.
Yeah. Maybe he'll use it to stop himself from sliding off of a building.
Yeah.
I think that's the only
That's
time
what those are used
Django
for.
used them. Yeah.
It's nuts too, because like we definitely get shades of this later in the episode, but like Mandalorian really is like he's utilizing like almost Batman style fighting tactics.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like watching that droid battle. It was like watching a fight from like the Arkham games play out in real time, and like just like every move he does has purpose. Like there's not a single wasted like bit of effort in anything he does. Like one of the other things I was like he literally rips a piston or something off of a droid and like throws it like through the eye of another one.
And then later he rips one's arm off.
Yeah, it's insane. Like just the action sequences are so well done. Like, and there's been so many of them, and I never feel like we're watching the same fight twice.
Oh no. Which
is again a testament to how well done the fight choreography and the action is in this show as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, every fight that we've come across, even if it's Mandalorian fighting and using his same stuff, everybody else that he's been fighting against or other fights that he's not a part of have had very distinct fighting styles attached to them, which it's just a good fight coordinator. But
oh yeah, well, and Cara Dune is a straight up brawler.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't know. I want to see this grappling. Like he's not really used this grappling hook as much, and we got to see a lot of it in this episode. And I want to see more of that thing. That like every time he uses that one,
droids into each other. Yeah, it's awesome.
That's a cool tool.
Yeah.
The flamethrower usually is like a reactionary thing, but the grappling hook, it seems pretty dang effective.
Yeah. Very tactical.
Yeah, the flamethrower, it's almost always like he gets hit or angry, and then the flamethrower comes on.
Yeah.
Although the best use, I think, is still when he tries to use it on the Jawas.
You understand this?
That's great.
Oh, and then of course after they kill Matt Lanter, they move on to the cell to release the prisoner, who's Quinn, Jian's brother.
Yeah.
Who has a line briefly as like the man who condemned me, my savior, or something like that.
Yeah.
So we assume that he got left behind on the job that Jian mentions on the ship, and then they double cross him and kick him into the cell and lock him in. Did anyone besides me think that Quinn was Luke Goss?
No, I don't think so.
I thought that. So Luke Goss he played the Reaper vampire in Blade 2 and the prince in Hellboy 2.
You think
yeah. I know who you're talking about.
Like just with the makeup, he looks very similar to
Yeah.
Luke Goss, and that was all I could think of. Because I don't think I've ever seen Luke Goss in a movie where he's not covered in like makeup and prosthetics.
Yeah, like
Doug Jones.
Doug Jones, that's it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's Ismael Cruz Cordova is the actor's name.
Who is decidedly not Luke Goss.
No. Oh.
Unless he was like, hey, what if I change my name to be something less easy?
Yeah. I always find it so interesting how ugly the male Twi'leks are.
Oh, yeah.
They're just, him, Bib Fortuna, they all just have the prosthetics that they put all over their heads and their teeth is just.
But even in Clone Wars, they're just odd. I don't know why the male Twi'leks look the way they do.
Yeah, they're given like big mounds on their
big
head, and then their brows are also like pronounced, and then they usually like file and sharpen their teeth as well.
Yeah,
they've got like caveman brows.
Yeah. You're right though. Every time you see a male Twi'lek, it's a little off-putting.
And they usually use like the female Twi'leks as like these very like sensual and beautiful creatures. Like they usually try to sell them that way. Yeah. So this is very interesting, the dynamic between the two sexes of that race.
And they're probably sitting there thinking the same about us. It didn't take him long to get out of the prison cell.
No, I guess
there was a second that I thought, I was like, oh, we're gonna go on like this multi-episode.
That's I
run
thought
of,
that's where it
like,
was going to end.
him having to get loose. They have the child. There's this kind of tension. The clock's ticking. No, he was just like, nah, I'm just gonna get out now.
Yeah, it was really really great the way he did. Using that grappling hook again. Seeing a lot of the
It's
grappling
useful.
hook in this episode.
yeah.
And then he just goes straight for the command console, and then just uses terror to strike fear in the
He
hearts
goes
of
full
everyone.
Batman.
Yeah.
It's like
it is a Batman.
Which is great.
so. My as this kind of turn happens and all the gates start locking and right, and you switch kind of perspective like you would in a Batman movie to all right, the crew is running from Mandalorian. My daughter walked in and she walked in on the fight with Berg.
Oh,
And she was like, "Is he the bad guy?" I was like, "Oh no, he's actually the protagonist. These guys are the bad guys. It's just he's terrorizing them."
that's
Yep.
awesome. And that's what I thought like throughout. I'm like, well, yeah, we never get to see the protagonist other than like Batman be in a situation like this where like he's terrorizing and separating all of these individuals to take them out one by one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, it was great every step of the like, even the little that we get of each character, like because they do some good just establishing of like she's crazy and he's a big brute and like, and he uses each of those elements against them in just a great way.
Yeah, I love like for some reason he knows how strong Berg is, because he sees him like literally manhandle one of those like Dalek looking droids and then throw it into another
What are
one.
those droids? Those are I've never seen those before. Have you?
They're in A New Hope.
Are they?
Yep, they're in the lineup in front of the Sandcrawler.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I couldn't place that.
And then so the first thing he does is he tries to choke him with his grappling hook, which I was like, I don't know if this is the way to go. Like, 'cause I was expecting
yanks him down.
Yeah, and I was expecting him, like, once he hooked him, I was expecting him to, like, jump down through the vent, like, and try to hang him. I was like, oh, no, you're just going to keep pulling up, and, like, inevitably you're going to get ripped through the grate.
Yeah.
And then,
I mean, if you get him off the ground, there's not much.
Yeah, he
you can
doesn't
do.
have the
doesn't have
leverage.
any, yeah.
and then Berg just slaps him around for a couple of minutes.
And he tries to use a flamethrower on him, but it has no effect, which I think is like pretty brilliant that the Devaronians are impervious to
Yeah,
fire.
they're just Hellboy, I guess.
Basically. But he has some more of the singing birds or
The whistling birds.
Whistling birds.
They don't
Which-
get really used effectively. They kind of go off everywhere.
Right,
Yeah.
but I thought he had already used them. Like I didn't know that he had more
He only used 4 of them.
in
so-
the other in episode 3.
Yeah, on the stormtroopers when they surround him.
Gotcha.
And then I love it. He basically has an Indiana Jones moment where he just says, screw this, and he just throws a knife into the door console and like closes the blast door.
Yeah.
On him.
Well, it's also like a Luke moment from Return of the Jedi with the Rancor too,
Oh yeah.
but it does
So
not work.
No, it
Yeah.
doesn't work.
It was both less and more effective.
Yeah. But then he just closes the other blast doors, and somehow Berg is not dead.
No.
Which, like, I was like, okay, yeah, no, he's done.
That's pretty dead. Yeah. Yeah, we find out later it just took his horns off.
Yeah, pretty indestructible.
Yeah, I was expecting. I was like, yeah, if we see him again, he's probably gonna be like, what, this thin?
Which a little bit begs the question, like, how did Mandalorian get out of that room after that?
Well,
If
it
Berg
crawled
is
up
just
back the way it came.
well, can't go.
Well, because he
out that
put him
door.
in the cell. I'm gonna guess that Berg was probably at least temporarily incapacitated.
Yeah,
guess
when
so.
they
Nothing else.
showed all of them in the same cell later, I'm like, how they would all have to be incapacitated in order for him to get them in one by one.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway,
And then, then he runs around and has a brief little fight with Xian before he gets the upper hand on her.
she's
yeah,
got those,
which-
like tracking knives or whatever. Like, I don't know what those were.
It looks like they deliver like a shock or something, because he gets like
He
one
does-
of them
yeah.
misses his armor and like gets him pretty good.
Yeah, that was her only shot, was getting in between the armor.
Yeah. And then like it cuts to, like you hear like a cutting sound. Like I thought that he killed her. I thought that he killed every single one of them.
No, I was
Until
very
the end,
aware.
'cause,
I'm
like,
like, they're not showing them all like actually dying. And
Yeah, but like it definitely made it seem like Berg was dead, and it definitely made it seem like he was about to kill Jian. And then for whatever reason, they show us Mayfeld again with this little backpack gun, taking out a few droids, and then Mandalorian goes full Batman, and just like
the
keeps
strobe
appearing
light.
between the flashes of light, like, and it's so good because like
Then he does the turn and the.
and he's just
No.
there. He's like, "Where are you? Here."
Yeah, that's exactly what that scene was. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that, and I'm like, oh, it's so interesting because Mark Boone Jr. being in this, and that too.
But yeah, and so he the sharpshooter, he doesn't let him know he's coming, right? Like he knew that Mayfield probably could make that shot.
Yeah,
So he just goes straight.
just gets the drop on him.
Yep.
God, yeah, and it's so cool. It's such a great shot, and then
All the while, stuff is going on with Zero and the Razor Crest, which I really loved. All that stuff. I thought the way it was shot, and I really like the design of Zero is very Forlom-ish.
yeah,
And I could not place his voice at first.
Oh, seriously?
I kept thinking it sounded like Jermaine Clement.
I could see
But,
that.
Yeah.
Yep. Jermaine's a little more bassy. He's got a little
Yeah.
deeper voice.
I think it Flight of the Conchords in for a Cantina band in an episode.
Well, I mean,
Not actually as characters, just as themselves.
Jermaine has been in. He was in Moana,
Yeah.
and you've got Taika Waititi on board, which they work
work together.
together.
Yep.
Oh yeah, no, it absolutely
So,
is not
it's
outside their
not-
own possibility.
They would both be playing droids, but
Yeah, Jermaine's been doing a lot more on-screen stuff, whereas Brett's been doing more like scoring and composing.
Right, but man, that would be.
Oh
be a
yeah,
cool
he'd
little
be
moment.
great to have in the mix.
yeah. But
Anyway, not to steal
Zero
from-
starts tracking down Baby Yoda, and then Baby Yoda attempts to use the Force on him.
Oh god, it was
Shot from behind.
that was such a great mislead, because like part of me was like, oh, are we finally gonna see him use the Force again?
like on a deliberate.
And then
level.
like as soon as like Zero exploded, I was like, did Baby Yoda just crush him? And then it's like, oh nope, Mando shot him in the back. That
Which is-
works.
That's number 3 now that we've gotten the fake out with the.
With the somebody getting shot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Twice that it's been droids killed
Yeah.
by the Mandalorian.
I thought it was interesting. The only one that Mando kills is the droid, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I guess we're not seeing more of Richard Ayoade. What's his last name? Ayoade.
Richard Ayoade, I think
Yeah.
is how you pronounce
It's
it.
just such an
Yeah.
odd spelling.
Well, and that's, I mean, it's not to say that we don't see Zero again. Maybe we do.
So we kind of yada yada over this, but did he give Mandalorian the finger?
Oh, when he says,
Don't worry, Mandalorian. My response time is quicker than organics, and I'm smarter too.
All right. Yeah, that's good.
it's like a little
Yeah, but is that the-
appendage thing that comes out, and it could have been. I never read it as that, but
I
I didn't think about that
wait a
either.
second.
I took it as like,
That's like X-Men 1
yeah, with the claw.
with the claw.
yeah, that's very good. Could very well be.
It was shrouded enough that I was like, oh, this is still kid friendly. But
Yeah, well, because
that's
he
how I
does it
took
right after he snaps his fingers and does it.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I'm faster than most organics.
Yeah,
And smarter,
smarter too. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gets outsmarted by a 50-year-old baby though.
Yeah, but also the guy who was in the suit for Zero, his name. Hold on, let me pull it up.
Oh, it was somebody different.
Yes, it is somebody different.
Richard's
hold on.
fro couldn't fit in.
Oh, he's also super tall.
Yeah,
That's true. Yeah.
is Chris Bartlett, and he's done like work for Lucasfilm. He's been C-3PO for certain events and everything, and he does like droid work and stuff.
nice.
So it's cool to see him.
That's just a line of work.
Yeah,
Just playing droids.
Fine with me.
yeah. You look at his IMDb, and it's nothing but C-3PO.
Did you happen to take note of Zero's gun? Was that the EE3? Is that the one that Boba has?
Oh, I do not know.
I think it was.
Yeah,
Which
thinking about it.
I had a moment of like, oh, do we get to see Mandalorian with an E? Like,
taking it from
if
him.
we're-
and-
yeah.
Yeah, because he had that stock on it.
I think it was. I meant to go take another look just to see for sure, but
Yeah, the blaster that in episode 4, what's her name?
Cara Dune.
No, not Cara Dune.
Oh,
The universe keeps expanding and there's too many characters. Omera.
Yeah.
The blaster that Omera shoots with is a Bosk's blaster.
oh, nice.
So, yeah.
there's just nice little Easter eggs laced throughout this.
Oh, yeah.
If you know what you're looking at.
So then he takes the payment back and
So, I think this is what you were talking about earlier. This is where I thought the episode ended, right? The story's kind of laid out. You know, why is he going to go back? But
he's got to get the money.
he goes, yeah, he ends up going back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot we get that confrontation between him and Quinn.
Yeah.
When Quinn, who tells Mayfeld to get him out of there, and he doesn't care about his sister.
No. Nice family.
Yeah. Which is like, oh, man,
Which
that's
is a
harsh.
very
Something the
Joker
Joker would
move.
do to Harley. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, to Carly.
Oh, Harley.
Who's Carly?
He'd probably do it to her. He's a sociopath.
Everything that happened. This episode felt a lot like a comic book episode, like a superhero episode to me, which is not a bad thing. It just tonally felt like a pretty big shift. Even though we've seen the prison break in the Western kind of setting, this just everything that happened, I was like, oh yeah, I could absolutely see this happening in a comic book.
Yeah.
I think I would even suspect like their storyboarding and stuff felt a lot more like a comic book panel than some of the other episodes. But maybe that's just me. But no, so he has that confrontation with Quinn at the end, like right as they're getting on board the Razor Crest, and then Mandalorian shows up without him to kill Zero, and I thought, oh, okay, so he's dead, but then apparently not.
No.
Yeah, because there's that moment of hesitation where he's almost like, is it worth it for the payment?
Right.
But then, of course, it's like, otherwise, why did I even bother with all this?
Right. Which makes me wonder, like, just timing wise, did he get Quinn on board and like restrain him, and then run back down all the way to the body to go get the receiver to come all the way back?
He could have just thrown him in a cell.
Or did he just bring it
or-
with him?
I think he brought the receiver with him. I
Yeah.
think he
Fine.
had that when he left the control room.
Yeah, he picked it up. Yeah, we
'Cause there's
saw
no-
him pick it up.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Because there's no reason to believe he didn't have it at any point.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they go back to Rand, and he very quickly drops off Quinn, gets his payment, and gets out.
Yep.
At which point, Rand inevitably says, "Kill him."
Yep.
And then they go to lunch, scramble the fighter after him.
That's a cool looking design. I didn't recognize that
No,
either.
it's a new design. Yeah, it's
Which
we never got to see it fly though. So
Yeah, nope,
a bummer.
didn't even get to take off. Yeah, and then Quinn finds the tracking beacon in his pants, and bam, here come all the directors in X-Wings.
they were pretty quick to blow that place up.
yeah,
Like,
they did not want to scope it out. They're like, all right, let's.
now there's a fighter coming out, and this is where we found the tracker. I guess we should kill everybody.
Yeah, scorched earth.
Kinda.
Yeah.
And they even passed the Razor Crest. Like
They do.
There's a moment where
They could have been like, hey, who's that? What's
Right.
going on?
let's apprehend him at least. But no.
Yeah, it seems like they probably just assumed that he was just a non-threatening ship leaving the port.
I guess so.
Didn't show up on their scanners, maybe.
He almost ran into him.
Yeah.
Like, I don't. That was a cool scene though. He gets they get their comeuppance and he gets paid.
Yeah, which bye-bye Quinn, bye-bye Rand. It's like that. Yeah, unless Rand got to an escape pod or something, I can't imagine he survived.
So the other thing this kind of gave me some vibes of is Cowboy Bebop. If you guys are familiar with that
Yeah,
at
I
all.
could see that.
It very much. It's an anime. It's a space western.
Yeah.
And this show hits some of those same tones at different times.
I could see that.
And so this episode especially made me want to go back and rewatch a bunch of Cowboy Bebop.
Well, this is the first time where there's really been a crew in play.
Yeah,
Which I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
but
Then they take off, and he gives Baby Yoda the little ball, and he tells him,
I told you that was a bad idea.
I like that the ball came back into play. It's this kind of bonding moment for them a couple episodes back. But they've done a really good job consistently showing the Mandalorian's emotions even without expression.
Yeah.
And like his actions mean more because we can't read his eyes or his face.
doing some good job with the characterization there.
Keep going with this adopted child shtick.
Yeah, well, let's keep going with it. We'll move on into the next episode here in a second. So,
Yeah, we got 2 in less than 7 days.
yeah.
Yeah, now we got to wait a week and a half for the last one.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so you can find, unless there's anything else we want to say about this episode.
No, I feel like we've said plenty.
All right. And so you can find this show, Who Watches Pod, on Twitter. We're also on Facebook and Instagram. Ryan, where can people find more of your work?
You can find me at Harbjagen, that's HARBJAGEN on Twitter. What about you, Dustin?
You can find me at DustinMeadowsComedy.com. It's got my blog, my social media links, upcoming shows, all that at DustinMeadowsComedy.com.
All right. And episodes of this show can be found on our main feed of Who Watches, alongside our coverage of HBO series Watchmen, which just wrapped up its magnificent first season. And if you have yet to watch, like we said, we can't recommend it highly enough. So go check that show out along with our coverage of it. Ryan and I will be doing a Watchmen book club read along, in which we will go back and cover reading the original source material in light of the series and see how new details come out from there. We will also be covering the Star Trek series Picard starting next month, which will be airing on CBS All Access. Looking forward to that. Like we said, this week, Mandalorian is dropping its newest episode today as of this recording, at the eve of the rise of Skywalker. And that's just an overload of fresh Star Wars material. And so look for that episode covering that here coming up very soon. And until then, initiate self-destruct sequencing.
What? It's just a little mousey.